So I'm just going to whip up some fancy wire here if you want to see more info on how to make it, see my video on fancy wire. So I've got one that's already kind of wrapped, and I want to add a couple more wires to give this earring a little more heft. The deal is you don't want to make the wire so heavy that the earrings are incredibly heavy, especially if you're going to hang doodahs off of them. This is the, got a new jump ring maker because mine's shot, and this is the, which one is this? Pepe jump ring maker JRM2 I just got. Once again, I'm, you know, double dutying on a tool. I'm not going to be making jump rings. I'm going to be making the fancy wire without the drill. Also going to use the mandrel down the road to shape the ear wire piece. So I'm using a glove because I'm a wuss. Hurts your hands. So it curls in your fingers. So I'm just rolling this, rolling. Why that one's wonky. Okay, that's good enough. So, take off my, God, look at all that pitch on there. Take off my glovey. Take out my wire. Now you can do these earrings two ways. You can leave them as is, or you can pound the heck out of them like I did with this one. It's up to you. You could even run this through the rolling mill beforehand. Anneal it though afterwards, just to make it easier. Oh my God, I can't get this off. There we go. Have a panic attack and then fix it. That's my plan. Okay, now we got to get back to the jump ring, not the jump ring maker, the ring bender. By the way, that jump ring set is awesome. It's so much stronger and more and well put together than the one I have. I love the cutter. It's like, wow. This is a womanly tool here. Very nice. It's a nice set. Very happy with it. And another bit of Nancy, etc. This ring bender, soon after using it, probably 20, 30 bends, it got kind of stiff and wouldn't move. So I just dumped some 3-in-1 oil. And I am swinging and winging it like a pro. Excuse me, the studio assistant needs to leave. Videographer, lady, person. And irritate her because she starts screaming. Okay, so we're back in the vise. And I don't want to use the Delrin, and I want to use the big circly thing. So I slid in my matching component that's in steel, and it's just like the other thing we were doing. I just start in the beginning and just start wiggling this thing around. I'm not trying to conform real tightly to a circle because I want to make these a little bigger. Tend to have to resize them. I should have done the other part first. Okay, I'm almost done. You know, you can make these as big as you want. Just depends on how much wire. This is another great scrap project. Okay, so this is not exactly round. I actually kind of like the oval. What I'm going to do now is Mark, where are you, Mark? I'm going to mark where I'm going to cut it. This is rather funky here, so I'm going to cut it here. And 10 millimeters over again, approximately. Let me see. Verify. 10. So, measure. Where's it? Where's my other mark? Somebody say this stuff was easy to do. I would like to have a word with them about that. So about 10 millimeters. We're not going to hold you to exact measurements here. So you can just go ahead and clip that. But then what you have to do, because this is roll together wire, it needs to be soldered on the ends so that it doesn't unravel. By the way, if you are making 2 earrings, you should make sure you have enough of this rolled out so that it's the same, you know. And then this can be reshaped again by hand or with on a ring mandrel. Right now I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to go ahead and what I'm going to do is, and I'm not going to go show you this, but I'm going to flood this with flux in here, and I'm going to drop a piece of solder on the side here and a piece of solder over here, and I'm going to pull the heat through so the solder runs through all the little wires. You can also give it a little extra twist with your pliers just to make sure everybody's nice and happy together. Like that. Make sure they're all together. So I'm going to go do that, and then I will come back and show you the next part. We're almost done. Okay, I've just fluxed this. How close can I get? I've just fluxed the ends of this, and I'm dropping a largish piece of, that's hard to say, largest piece of solder on it, like so. And I told you I wasn't going to show you this, but I thought, oh man. So I'm going to start heating back here to keep the flux from bubbling the solder pillion off. We're going to start moving in for the kill. Okay, I want that to flow through. Come on. Get this side, and then I'm going to turn it over. Not with my fingers. I'm going to hit the side and try to bring it up. And if you fuse the end a little bit, it's not a biggie. It's not actually a bad idea. The nice thing about using the argentium, which this is not, is that it melts so beautifully. It fuses beautifully. It's just my favorite metal. I'm just so happy about it. So, I'm going to check this, make sure this little sucker got soldered on because it was a little open. Looks pretty good. You don't want them unraveling, so there. See that gap there? It's not perfect, but it's a demo. It's your face. Poisonous gas. So when it's out of the pickle, we're going to clean up a little bit, and then I'm going to show you how to put the that part on. Okay. WW. Sit, girl, sit. So while you were in the soldering room, you should have balled up some 20 gauge wire. This is argentium. You need 2 pieces to make the, for each earring, get out of there, this part here. And I don't know, I kind of guessed at how long it is. I can give you a number on here. It's not going to end up this size. This is 6 centimeters. So, you know, not that short, just, you can eyeball it. After you make a couple of them, you'll get good at it. You'll be just so intuitive. So what I'm going to do here is clean this edge up a little bit with my sanding discs. You can use a file too, or sandpaper if you must. And I'm also going to file a flat spot on the top of the wire about how about 5 millimeters across here, this way, on both the tops, okay? So I'm going to go get a sanding disc and I'll be right back. So just flattening the end here. Just to clean it up a little bit. And then I'm going to switch to a big cut burr to round these edges up a bit. Bigger. Just try not to keep things sharp. Sharp and skin doesn't always work. And I'll get this wide wad of wire that I should have crimped together better. Okay, good enough. I should leave that in. I'm supposed to leave something in those. So if you want to round up your earring a little more, do it at the end, because we're going to be screwing around with it a little bit and it will misshape it. So you can take, I use my Wolf belt sander for this because it's just so much easier. But you can take it and drag it down the file, or you can put it on your bench pin, theoretically. And what we're doing is filing a flat spot to attach the tubing to. There's one. Is our ear wire holder mechanism thingy. Yeah, got all out of shape. We'll fix that later. Okay, then we have a little tubing that the whoa, drop that on the floor. You want the 20 gauge wire to fit smoothly in here because we want it to be able to move inside. So what I do is the wires, the tubing is what is it? Yeah, it's going to fall on your foot. You're going to hate me forever. It's a barely see. Looks like it's 4 millimeters, the tubing. So you could mark off here 8 millimeters. Oh, give me this thing. Someone's going to die. Sorry, guys. You can mark off 8 or 10 millimeters on here. Because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to file a flat side on this tubing. So I don't want to file the whole tubing. Once again, I use the Wolf belt sander for this too, but I'm not dragging it over here right now. This is unpleasant. That's why I cheat. But the nice thing about this is it does give a nice even flat surface, and I'm really pushing down on this tubing to keep it from rolling. You could clamp it or something. Well, kind of. Maybe clamp one end and file the middle. So now I've got a flat edge on there, which will give us more surface area to solder to this part of our earring. So you're going to match up the flat onto the flat on this part here. So next we need to do is, we already determined that those were 4 millimeters long, so I'm going to mark off 4 millimeters on the tubing here, like so, and I'm going to get my my missing tool. Help. Oh, there it is. My tubing cutter. Put it back in there. Oh, look who's riding Fred. It's Wonder Woman, the Wonder Jeweler. So, foot shaft accident. What I'm going to do is line up the mark I made here with the marks, with the cutting line on the tubing cutter. And then I don't have to measure the second one because I just push it all the way to the edge, and that both of my cuts will be the same size. We are ready to go. I've got a little, what's this stuff? Pepe lube. Came with my set. Okay, chair out of the way. I don't like to use this thing. I'm afraid it's going to bend my tubing. I'm actually thinking of taking it off. Figure that out. Okay. Now usually at this point in time I would have tweezers to pick that up, so that's going over there. And now we're going to cut our other 4 millimeter length. And it could be a little less, it could be a little more. It doesn't have to be exactly 4 millimeters. I didn't know what I was doing when I did it, and just kind of went, oh, that looks like a good size. Oh, there we go. If you're sawing this on a bench pin, I take my apron and kind of hold it, spread it out in front of me, maybe even tape it to my desk. You might even have a real bench with a sweep drawer in it. That would be nice. Then, by the way, this may be our last video in the studio. Maybe not, maybe one more. We're moving. God, can't wait. Everything's broken. My exhaust fan broke, my sink broke. Pretty soon the floor is going to cave in, so I'm so excited. Anyway, so what we want to do now is go back into the soldering room and flux this. And where we filed is nice and clean, so we try to keep our, hopefully, clean hands off of it. And I'm going to sit these on here and solder them on. So let's go do that. So this is kind of a balancing act. I have a little prop here. This is just a thin piece of copper to lift this up a little bit. And you want to have flat soldering area as possible so it doesn't roll around. And sometimes the flux acts as a, not as a glue, but as a attractant, and it'll help it stay. You want to make sure your flat edge is facing the flat edge on the earring. Flat edge on the tubing is facing the flat edge on the earring. I'm only doing one at a time because it just drives me crazy trying to do both at once because of the precariousness of the soldering joint. So I'm heating the rest of the piece up because there's a lot more metal here than there is down here on this little tiny tubing. I'm going to start moving over here. And I used a small solder pallion. Metal's starting to get pink. Once the solder flows, I want to try to run it down the side of the tubing. Notice how I keep lifting off if I see it get too red. And then, I miss my ventilation. It is definitely not good without it. I'm going to turn it over. Now you don't want to do that. You want to have some kind of support under here, otherwise the tubing could fall off. So you want to make sure it's still supported and just check to see if you can see solder on the back side. And if you can't, you can do two things. You can try bringing it up from this side. And keep your eye that you don't melt the other tip over there. If you don't see the solder coming up, then you might need to add another pallion. Where are they? Is there anybody in here? Oh, for God's sakes. Where's the solder pallion when you need one? I just cut like 70 of these. Okay. There we go. This is why I ruin all my brushes. Stay. There we go. Again over here. I've got this heat sink. This metal is acting as a heat sink, so it'll protect the tube a little better. Whole face full of gas. Okay, that looks good. A lot of soldering for a teeny little piece, huh? So, and then what I'm going to do is pickle it, and then I'm going to do the other side exactly the same way. Okay? I'll briefly show you how I set it up. Water spray bottle. Charcoal, barbecue. You gotta remember your charcoal becomes just like the stuff in your barbecue, so you want to quench it before you leave your studio at the end of the day. Little safety tip from NLTH. Those are not tweezers. Okay, we have no tweezers, so. Nope. Yes. Alright, so what I did was I just basically made sure that this part was laying as flat as possible. So this is hot over here. I didn't really want to hang out there. So since see how it can go down, so I want to get a prop. I keep nickels and dimes and other soldering props in here to hold. See how that lifts that up. So now it'll be down here, and I'm dipping the whole tube in the flux, and then I'm going to roll it around with its flat edge against the it's the wire, and these tubes are lined up with the end of that wire. And at this point I'll go ahead and put a piece of solder over there like that. So I'm going to do that, but you've already seen it once, so I'm not going to let you watch it again. Hi. Just messing around. So I've kind of lost my round here. I could go back into the Pepe Ring Bender thingy. Or I could use something like this. Just kind of, you can work it by hand, or you can use your little mallet. Careful you don't crush the tube on the end when you do that. Stuck on my apron. And then usually I end up having to do fine tuning with my half round pliers too. I want to bring this down so that these are kind of facing across from one another while still retaining my round. And then you want to check this way too so that they're lined up in front of each other. So that looks pretty good. So, and then this part is the finale, unless you want to add you know, doodahs to the bottom. You can do jump rings. This is just a bent over link from a chain, which I'll show you how to make. You know, in a simple stone with a balled up end and a little hook. So you can do all kinds of different stuff, and like I said, you can hammer this. And so you want to put the wire that we've done before with the balled up end like that from the inside out. Then I'm going to take one of my handy dandy mandrels here. Which one was it I used? Try to be consistent. Remember, I think it was this one. Yeah. So let's see if I can do it this way so I can show you how. And I'm just going to bend the wire around the mandrel like that. And go past where you need to be. See how that is? See how that is? So at this point I'm just going to kind of roll my finger down there and made it into a gentle slope. See? Oh, it's hard to hold. Like that. So then I want that wire to go almost all the way through the tubing or into the tubing. So I'm going to mark, or I'm going to trim it on the outside. Give her a good clipperoo. And then this has to be hit with the copper. Again, remember you don't want any pointy sharp objects going into your ears. Or maybe you do. Maybe that's what's wrong with America. Been in here too long today. Okay. Just gonna ball up our end. La la la, da da da. And check it out. There we go. Now this could be just a hair down. The cool thing is you can pull these apart or put them together. You know, you can wiggle it. And when you put these on and off, you're going to be opening it and then you're going to be closing it. So it's going to eventually work harden. You can do it this way too. So don't worry if it's a little soft right now. So there you go. Type 2 earring, we'll call this. So those are some of the things I was playing with my Pepe Ring Bender and my little new jump ring cutter. And I thought I would share with you because you are my favorite people in the world. One mommy kind of thing. I don't have a lot of time to look everywhere for messages, so if some of you have noticed, I'm really bad at responding Facebook, YouTube, pretty much anywhere else, my website. But I do eventually get to all my emails on my email. So I would recommend, if you have a question for me, to email me at Nancy lt.hamilton@gmail.com, and it may take me 2 months. I'm trying to get better, but I'll eventually get back to you. And I'm also starting, I have a new page on my website called Questions and Answers, that I'm going to start posting some of the longer, more involved responses that I think are applicable for everyone there. So hopefully you can find a solution to your problem in that location. And the newsletter's late again because I've been redecorating and Vegas and other horrible things. So I apologize to everyone for being a slug. It's just me and occasionally little Lisa. Oh, and of course, studio assistant. But I'm done. I'll shut up now. Thanks for watching. Have fun and make a lot of beautiful things.